Hello and welcome to Built on Air, a podcast and video series about all things Airtable. I'm your host, Zoe Vanderplew, and I'd like to thank our sponsor, OpenSide. OpenSide's newest product, Onto Air Forms, is the Airtable form solution that you've been looking for. Visit openside.com to see how it can take your Airtable workflow to the next level. And for a limited time, get Onto Air Forms free when you purchase the Onto Air Actions Zapier connector. Joining us this week on the show is Sherman Sanders, founding member of the Gryphon Games and Comics Cooperative in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now in its 13th year, Gryphon has evolved beyond a store into a popular play space. They host programs most days of the week for Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons, and much more. Most recently, Gryphon is working on transitioning to a co-op to further their connection with the local gaming community that they've cultivated over the years. Sherman found that Airtable is the perfect tool to manage all of these game nights at Gryphon. His base he demos for us, Gryphon Guild Ventures, tracks event dates, player attendance, and even rewards for frequent participants. His shop employees are trained to keep the base updated during their shifts via forms, so Sherman can enjoy his evenings off and know exactly how game night went. Sherman also shares another base with us, Forbidden Lands, which is a slick RPG campaign organizer he built for his own personal games. He makes great use of the Kanban view to share info with his players that he can update live as the campaign unfolds. Check out BuiltOnAir.com to sign up for a mailing list where you can get weekly updates on new Built On Air episodes and other fun Airtable things. Hey everyone, and welcome to Built on Air. I am here with Sherman Sanders today, founding member of the Gryphon Games and Comics Cooperative. Hey Sherman, how's it going?
Hey, doing very well. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being on the show. We're really excited to have you today. And why don't we start out by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and about Gryphon?
Sorry, you cut out there, of course.
No worries. Here, we're so far at the beginning. We'll just start right over.
I love that it was.
Is it all good? Is it still like normally Zoom? It might pop up with like a warning that says internet connection is unstable. So if it does cut out at all, normally the audio will be fine and the video might glitch. But if that keeps happening, like because of crappy internet connections on one end or the other, we'll do the best we can. But since we're at the beginning, I'll go ahead and start over. Hey, Sherman.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did it work? Did it cut again?
No, it's perfect for 10 minutes. And then
I know. What's weird is the one I did earlier, I was like, your audio is kind of soft, it's a little weird. And then as soon as we started recording, it just cut out completely. So we had to definitely some weird, I don't know, stars aligning or something that's causing some tech glitches today. But we'll start again, and hopefully the internet will bless us with a nice steady stream. Hey, Sherman, welcome to Built on Air. Thanks so much for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Zoe.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sherman Sanders. I live in Fort Collins. I've owned Gryphon Games and Comics for the last 13 years with my wife. We are currently transitioning into a cooperative. Hopefully that's done here very soon. But we're a retailer of games and comic books. We just have a brick and mortar store. Don't really do anything online or anything like that. We're just in store, do a lot of, organized play programs. We have a lot of play space, have a lot of people coming in nightly for different types of games.
Very cool. So what is sort of a day-to-day like as the owner of, a comic book store, and you're organizing all of these events and stuff? So what does a typical day in Sherman's life comprise?
It's a lot of trying to organize people. We've got right around 20 employees at any given time. So we've got a cafe to run, as well as the retail store, and like I said, all sorts of events. So it's just figuring out who needs to go where and do what, and doing all my day to day. Trying to order product in and make sure we get stuff for for people to have. It's and a lot of talking with customers. It's a lot of figuring out what the community's up to and keeping in touch with people.
Right. Yeah. That kind of human connection, I think, right, is key in your industry, since it's, it's people who want that physical kind of connection and experience with.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we've definitely seen a large change in the industry in the last 13 years. It is a much more challenging industry. It's been challenging from the beginning. It's never been a super easy thing to do, but it's hard. I mean, the internet has definitely made that, there's opportunities there, but there's also a lot of challenges, particularly for brick and mortar stores. So that's
for sure.
where we're at. Yeah.
So do you and your wife kind of split responsibilities? Do you concentrate on some things and she does the other? Or you guys, how do you kind of handle working with your life partner as your business partner?
Right. So she is actually, she over the years has kind of slowly stepped away from the store. Originally, when we first started, it was the two of us, and when we pretty much, alternated days off. That was the plan. Have two people on when we're busy. And of course, now we have to have at least, 4 or 5 staff on at any given time. She has her own business. She does pet sitting, side hill sitters. So she has her own staff of another 12 or 15 people. So yeah. It's
very cool. That's awesome. Well, yeah, it's like, so is the sort of comic books and games, was that your vision and you convinced your wife to jump on board, or was it something that you guys had been wanting to start together?
Yeah. So mainly games. Neither of us were really comic people, and we bought an existing store and they had comics and we figured it out. So so that's kind of where that's at. But that was mostly me. We'd played games and stuff for years before that, but I kind of convinced her that this would be a fun thing to do. And when we got the store, she was 22 and still in college, and it's been an interesting time. So
yeah, 13 years is a really long time just to have a small business in general, let alone, you always hear gaming stores are, like shutting down, or just, it's like you mentioned, it's a totally kind of different landscape out there now, I guess. But tell us a little bit about, so what are like some of the most popular events, or, I guess popular games that you sell?
So we still do Magic 4 nights a week. We are, one of the things that got me using Airtable more than anything was Dungeons and Dragons, actually. So I wanted to start my own organized play program. And I wanted to track players rather than characters. Are you familiar with D&D? Have you ever done any role playing? Or?
I'm like slightly familiar with it, but I've never played myself, but I always think that I would love it. My friend, probably the closest I've gotten to like any sort of those tabletop games is Pandemic. Have you played that one? It's like, but the one that like they do in seasons. So you like you have to play like 12 to 24 games. Yeah, that was sort of my first venture into it. And it was always like such a pain. We would like, my friends and I, we would like set a time to, sit down and play. And I would always be super annoyed to like have it in my schedule and have to go. But whenever like we were there, I had so much fun.
Good.
I moved like, it's so funny. And so I think it really is just like about kind of like holding that space really is what, because you don't really get that opportunity to sit and play games all that much anymore unless you really like carve out that space. But anyway, so not like D&D particularly. So I might need a little bit of like schooling on the terminology as we like walk through the demo or something. But
sure,
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's worth giving a go. Pretty much if you find a good group to play with, it's fun for anybody. People play at different interest levels. Some people are very, rules interested, and other people just want to tell a story or just want to hang out with friends. And it's a good time in that regard. So yeah, it's a lot of opportunity there.
So is it the same groups that will sort of come and play every week, or are people switching in and out? Kind of how do you run that whole program at your store?
So for our Gryphon Guild Ventures, we have a group of we've had over 500 people come through in the last it's been just over a year now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we get about 40 to 50 people every week. And it's kind of a rotating crowd. We get, the intention of it. So here, the hardest thing about role playing is finding a group and organizing people. Like you said, you have to carve out that time, right? So what I wanted to do and what I was seeing in the store for years and years and years was that I would set up something. I would say, hey, you guys can come and play at this time. And we've got a game master who wants to run a game, whatever. And people would show up and there wouldn't be a spot. So what I did with Guild Ventures is I said, we have no signups. We have nobody's planned to run anything or do anything. We're going to throw a bunch of people together and somebody is hopefully going to run a game in our case, like 8 games or so is what we get on average. So, and that's the plan. Nobody gets left out, ideally, unless we can't find a game master, in which case we have to tell people occasionally, sorry, it didn't work out this week. But I don't have that consistent group showing up and just playing with their friends every week because there's no point in it. It's all one-shot adventures. There's no ongoing campaign. And really what I wanted to do was give people an opportunity to meet one another, not to get into a game because they can do that. If you have a game master, you can go to your house and play a game, but I wanted people to meet each other and set up those games. So that's what's happened more than anything is we have a high turn rate, but I attribute a lot of that to people doing exactly what the program was intended to do. They're meeting each other. They're getting into these groups. And I hear that weekly. I hear people, I came my first game. I now have a group. Done. Perfect.
Right. You're a bit like a matchmaker in that regard, right? So because if some people stop showing up, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It could mean, they've found their crew and they're just, doing it like in, someone's like, living room or whatever every week instead. Really cool. So, and you mentioned that you kind of had, started using Airtable to organize all that kind of stuff. So tell us a little bit about how you found Airtable and how you use it to manage your business.
I found it by searching. I mean, I kind of had the program in mind that I wanted to use, and then I found Airtable. And I'm like, well, this is a perfect match. It's going to do exactly what I need. I hand it off to somebody who's really familiar with Excel, so they could do some basic programming for me to figure out what how to make the tables work and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it, and I've since modified it, and it's gotten a little bit more complicated, but basically the format that we came up with for week 1 is still there. And we track players, which is not something I could have done with any other program that I could find. So we track their weekly attendance. We have like in a typical role-playing game, people level up their characters, right? So I played this character, I get to play at a higher level now. They've gathered this much equipment. I kind of did away with all that because I didn't want that level of bookkeeping. And I also didn't want that constraint on the players. I wanted them to come in, play the level of game they wanted to play, and just have fun at that, whatever they're doing for that week. It's all one shots, so there's no need for that kind of continuity. But we are rewarding the players for showing up multiple times. They get to play higher level characters. They get to bring better equipment, stuff like that.
Cool.
And Airtable manages all that. It manages, it allows me to just kind of automate a ton of that. We do the data entry every week, and that's all we have to do.
Beautiful. How long have you been using that system?
Who
knows? Yeah.
It's literally just over a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had March 3rd. So 13 months. Yeah.
Cool. And then were you kind of running these weekly D&D meetings before that, just like on pen and paper, or did you kind of find the system just as you started the program?
So that's so a classic adventure, like I said, is very much, a game master gets, says, I'm going to be here every week, and a group of people show up.
Right.
So I wanted, and we still have that happening. Like we have another 100 people show up and play games every week, easy. Right. But I wanted a place where anybody who walks through the door, I can say, hey, show up at 5:00 on Saturday and you get to play in a D&D game, and done. You don't have to do anything. It's a opportunity to just introduce new people to the game. I get brand new people every single week, people who've never played a role-playing game in their life. So, and some of them stick with it and some of them say that's not for me, and that's totally fine. But it is something that I could not do in any other way that I have been able to come up with. So,
right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. I like how it seems like you've done such a great job of kind of like building this community that suits, your customers on whatever level they want to be involved in, from like just walking in and being like, hey, I'm here, like throw me somewhere, to people who want kind of that dedicated, campaign ongoing style of play.
Yeah. And we have a handful of people, people who've, been coming since the very beginning, but I got 37 sessions there. Yeah. There's
that's awesome.
Number of people.
Right. And that's so cool. And it's so easy to track, right? You're just like looking on a screen and you're like, hey, this is like how often this person has come.
Right. I can see every single night that they've came and if they ran a game or played in a game or,
That's really cool. And then, so have you kind of trained your employees on, and we'll get to the demo in a second so you can actually show us around, but I'm curious, have you trained your employees like on this system, right? So anyone who's there just runs it?
Right. Yeah. Cool. I'm not even there most Saturdays. So that's it's all automated. My Alexis, she's great. She's been improved on my system and made things run smoother because there's a lot of people to manage all at once. I mean, people show up and you're just like get into games and play. And so you have to like make sure they're at the right level tables and stuff like that. So,
right. Yeah. Everyone just kind of descends at once and you need to sort everyone out.
Yep.
So I guess now is a great time for you to share your screen and kind of give us a little bit of a tour of your Airtable base.
Sure. Let's see if I can remember. There we go. All right. Let's try this.
I can see your screen.
Okay. Awesome. So this is our basic.
Oh wait, hang on. Did you move it maybe to another desktop?
I did. Here, I can put it back. There you go. Is that better?
Perfect.
So real quick, this is a list of all the players. So what did I say? There's a bunch. I think we're at right around 500 people who have participated at least one time. But what this screen shows is the first name, last couple initials of the player, how many nights they've played. So there's a couple things in Airtable. You aren't allowed to. Gosh, it's been so long since I've ever looked at this, but we have to take the total nights and then copy it over so that we'll properly reference something to give us our max level.
Got it.
What that interaction is, but we have to do that weekly. So that's one thing I'd like to see improved. But outside of that, it's pretty much automated. We do let me see, game nights. So these are our game nights. So like these are the people who played, and these are the people who. This was our very first night. We had 60 people show up the very first time we did this, and it's stayed in that 40 to 50 range pretty consistently. But every single person who participated and who ran those games. So that's how that looks. But for what is this? Form 2. So this is pretty much all my employees are looking at. It does not look pretty, but it's on our side of it. So they just throw in the date. So on the 6th, they will make one for the 6th. They will just go down and start typing in names, and that is super fast. And then add whoever DM'd and submit that, and everybody's updated. So yeah, it's pretty easy. I have a handful of other things going on here. Like I've got. We hand out tokens as magic items for the players. So all the rewards come in the form of like physical items that they can carry around to their games. And then I've gone through and I've made a point value associated with each item. That's not a very interesting one, but so basically the players can buy items that they own based on what level they are, if that makes sense.
And is the level based then on the attendance that you track?
Exactly. So we've got a level chart here. So basically, this shows what players have made. Yeah, look at David here, 47 games. That that shows what level they've made it to and what rewards they have gotten up to that point. So we've got a max level here. You show up for your first game, you get to play a first level character. You show up to your second level game, or if it's your second game, you get to play a second level character, and then it starts to slow down after that. So yeah. So we potentially have people playing 15th level characters. I don't think that's happening. I think they're still in this 12 and 13 range mostly.
So this is, I guess, probably just like a person who's ignorant of D&D asking, but what, if you play at certain levels, like, is it you just get these additional items, or like what kind of benefits do you have to, like, what's the dangling carrot, right, to continue to attend and level up?
So this is a large part of D&D. If you've ever done any kind of online game that has a character involved that like gains stuff, this is what D&D is all about. It's about building up your character, getting more powerful, fighting more powerful monsters, getting more powerful. So it's this cycle that a lot of players really enjoy. Honestly, D&D is not my favorite game, partly because of that. So I do role play, but not. I don't have that interest in that kind of grindy. I'm better, so now I'm going to fight better stuff. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but whatever.
Give the people what they want, right?
So this is what people enjoy. So, but that's what it is. The characters get more powerful. They have more options. They can throw bigger spells. They can do all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So that's what it is. Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you about that. I do have a couple other things in here. Let me just throw through some things. Cool. Player reporting. So players can, if we're seeing issues with something, people can come in and be like, I'm seeing this event. This player is doing this in a game, and then I'll just go and talk to them and hopefully get that handled. We've got some suggestions. If people want to make suggestions, we started a sponsorship program. So we were having some issues with focus for our younger kids who are participating. So what we did is we said, if you can get 3 different people to come in and play with you, then you can say they will say that you can play at an adult table. Otherwise, we just kind of put them at a youth table. Just they're not super disruptive to the other players. Right. And they have fun still, so I'm not concerned about it, but it's a little different. I just started this. I've got a unique item request. So one of the rewards that happens is players can. Did my camera cut out?
Yes, but that's okay. We can still see your screen.
Right, good.
Although we are missing your wonderful face, but that's okay.
I think this camera is shot.
We have watched it die its final death, maybe.
It could be. Anyway, so what was I saying? So one of the rewards people can get is at some point they get unique items. They've come enough that I'm going to invest in them and like spend some time figuring out exactly something that fits one of their characters or something to kind of give them something extra that is nobody else has.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of the Guild Ventures program.
No, that's awesome. It's great. And it is something like you mentioned, it's like your staff can just fill out the forms and then you can just take a peek at it whenever you want to kind of check the pulse on everything. And you can have Saturday nights to yourself then if you want to. Yes.
Yeah, no, it is good time. And I've run plenty of games myself. I do enjoy playing. So it's not,
and we did also talk about you have another base that you might be able to show us, the campaign organizer. Do you want to take a little bit to kind of walk through that and give us some context? Yeah.
So the campaign organizer, this is something that I put together for my personal games, and I've done it for a couple different campaigns. The one I have here is definitely the prettiest, and that is on account of the Forbidden Lands game that they put out. They've have some great art in there, and they've put a lot of time into making a something that's very accessible and I can share with my players. So I was excited to do that. Typically when I build one of these, I will do like some basic web searches online and be like, I just need images of an elven fighter, and I'll just put, here's this guy, and now here's his image, and that's that. But these are like a lot of things from the company. Like if I bring this guy up, this is the Hollows. This is kind of your starter adventure site for the main campaign, and it's just a town, but the players get to have kind of a look at what that actually looks like. So that's really fun to have. And basically what I've done here is I've created something that I can let me see what's good here. Let me get out of this view. I've created a line item for basically everything that the players might find in the near term.
Cool.
And if I create a session and I link to it, it then populates the session and gives them the opportunity to look at it on their phones or whatever. So they can. This is the view that the players get to see.
Cool.
That's what's shared with them. So they can easily go through and see everything that I've put out there. So
love it.
Read a session synopsis. We've got that. There are some interesting linking things. Like I've got these are linked from another table. So I have to put all of the description that I want them to see in the initial description, right? So like
right in that primary field,
right?
So you can see it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how I've done that, and it seems like it works pretty well. It keeps everything pretty organized, and the players have something really pretty concise that I'm able to put into different drop downs in the Kanban, and I don't know, I like it.
Yeah, you've done a great job. I think, kind of one of the underappreciated components of Airtable, I think sometimes is the views, and you've done a really great job here of using that Kanban view with, the images and stuff to just make a really pleasing looking, view to sort through.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love I love just going through it. Like, oh yeah, this is like coming together. Look at that. It's got the
right. Yeah, like you're creating it, technically for your players, but also like halfway for yourself. Right. And just the joy of organizing everything.
Definitely helps me keep my own thoughts organized. One thing that so I've been role playing, a long time. Since I was 6. So
nice.
one thing that's really cool is going back and looking at games that I played in many years ago. And I love having like these session synopsis and things. And this is, I'm typically not that organized of a person, but I'm creating a record at the same time of things that have happened. So right. This really serves a double purpose of not just informing my players, but also like having something that I can look back on years from now and be like, oh yeah, this was pretty fun. We had a good time with that campaign or whatever. So it's cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. I love it. And it's so true where you're always, you build something or you're into something, you're playing a game or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'll remember this. Like, I don't have to, write it down. And then I always find myself I wish I had written that down somewhere where I could like go back and look, because you're right. It's not just seeing what's on the screen, but also you can kind of get a little nostalgic about everything, and that's really fun. Yeah. So how long did it take you to kind of build the space and get it to a point where you were comfortable sharing it with your players?
So this one was really quick. I mean, I think I did most of it in a night.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's just because I've built a couple others, so I kind of knew exactly I knew a lot of what the format was. Every time I'm learning new stuff on it all the time. I don't know everything by a long shot. There's a lot of depth in Airtable, which I really enjoy. I actually use Airtable and it does take, it has taken me a long time to get as competent as I am with it.
Right.
But I don't mind the time because I use it in my business as well. So doing the things I really enjoy allows me to really do deep dives on stuff and like figure out how to put some things together and make it presentable and make it so that I can share it with my staff and stuff, and they can navigate things easily. But yeah, I don't think I would be nearly as invested as if I wasn't doing something that I like genuinely enjoy doing. but,
Right.
but taking those lessons back and applying them to the business is really cool, because I can be like, oh, I know what I need to do right here. Just pop that together real quick, and now I have something. I built 3 new forms for my players a couple days ago, or my players, my employees a couple days ago. So they are, So it's right now I have I use an Airtable for all of our daily stuff in the store, and like all of my employee records and stuff, they're all in one Airtable. So
Nice.
it's like, I've got all that information easy to do, and then build a form and link to their name or whatever, and it's I can see what they're up to, and it's all in one place. And I I would be hard pressed to be able to do what I need from Airtable anywhere else. I don't think I could. So.
Right. Yeah, it really is such a, flexible tool. And I really like what you mentioned about how, it is, since you are able to kind of work on, work projects and personal projects in the same space, it really does give you, kind of the tingles, right? You feel like you're creating something fun or like learning something new that's not just, something that you'll tinker with once and then kind of jettison it to try another app or something. It
right.
does have some staying power for sure.
Yeah, I that is exactly right. I'm definitely an optimizer, and I really try and find like things that are going to work really well for a particular application or whatever. And this Airtable has just allowed me to like really focus on one thing for a long time now. I don't feel like I need a bunch of other stuff. I've got like handful of programs to do like, scheduling and stuff like that, because that's really hard. but I don't have a bunch of other stuff at this point. It's pretty nice. I've really enjoyed it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess tell us to wrap up, what is next for Gryphon? You mentioned you guys are kind of in the final processes of becoming a co-op officially. So what does that kind of mean for you guys, and how will it affect your growth going forward?
Right. So the industry, like I mentioned, is really challenging, and cooperative is something that I've looked at over the years. And I think really what it amounts to is I wanted something that would get the community involvement and get the community investment in choosing to have a store like ours continue to exist into the future.
Right.
We've got we're a 9,000 square foot store. We've got a lot of play space that really doesn't necessarily generate the revenue that it needs to warrant its existence. But from the very beginning, what my wife and I wanted was a community hub. We wanted a place where players could come and feel, comfortable and have fun and meet new people and all these things. And I don't think that's going to exist without stores like ours. So, and I can't think, obviously you can generate a ton of revenue in other ways and subsidize that kind of space, but that doesn't feel right to me. I mean, it shouldn't be somebody's hard work and volunteerism and donation to make a space like this exist. It should be a effort by everybody who's using it, is my opinion. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's really what I'm hoping to see out of this transition. We've already got a lot of great people invested in the store, and we've got a board of directors, and we've got membership that we're taking care of daily, and that people are interested. And I think it's a cool opportunity for the community make sure stores like ours continue to exist into the future and serve as that third place where people can come and meet and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. From what how you've kind of been describing the store, it kind of seems like a natural next step for you guys, right? Since you do kind of put all of this time and attention into really building the community and not, just being a place with like some shelves with some stuff to buy on them.
Right. Yeah. Yes, that's not what we're shooting for. So, just got to maintain that space. Yeah,
for sure. So let our viewers know where they can find you online, and then also if they're in the Fort Collins area, where they can go to come visit.
So we are Drake and Shields in Fort Collins. We're Fort Collins, about an hour north of Denver. We are. Let's see. What was I going to say? What was the question?
Where can we find you online?
Online, right. Yeah. So sorry. So that's where I got stuck. So basically, we're in, like I said, a transition. So there is our current website is www.gryphongamesandcomics.com, but we are transitioning to gryphon.coop. So much easier to find. So hopefully that website's up here in the next month or so.
Very cool. Well, Sherman, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us and kind of show a little bit about how you've, kind of crafted your business and personal stuff with Airtable. It was great talking to you. Yeah,
I really appreciate the opportunity. It's a cool program, and I hope to see more things in the future from it. It's cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.